Turmoil at Toyota, once the darling of the car industry, the company now literally on the skids. Today, the U.S. Department of Transport stepping up pressure on Toyota to fix the cars, rattling investors, shares slumping overnight, as you can see right there. Scandal broke mid-January. Since then, Toyota has lost a huge amount, tens of billions in market capitalization. We've got team coverage of the story from all the angles involved. Lindsey is in D.C. with a look at the federal response to Toyota's issues. Doron in Detroit with a look at how this is going to hurt the company midterm, long-term, while they're looking for a short-term fix to all the woes. U.S. Transport Chief Ray LaHood says he misstated when he said that owners of Toyota cars should stop driving those vehicles. Lindsey on Capitol Hill, he retracted, to his credit, he retracted this very, very quickly, because you have to get those cars to the dealer to fix the pedal and put in that little washer. There aren't enough tow trucks at the AAA to bring everybody that way, right?
Brittany, I talked to a lawmaker who questioned Ray LaHood today, and he said nobody in that hearing room today had any inkling that this was going to cause the uproar that it did. Ray LaHood very quickly, though, issuing a retraction just after he gave his testimony, saying, look, I didn't mean this, folks, exactly the way it came out. Here's what he had to say.
I said in there was obviously a misstatement. What I meant to say, and what I thought I said was, if you own one of these cars, or if you're in doubt, take it to the dealer, and they're going to fix it.
That didn't seem to fix a problem for Toyota. The stock sank on his comments today, and it's clearly grappling with a very serious PR problem related to this recall of some 2.5 million vehicles in the U.S. and Canada. At issue is this defect that causes sudden acceleration in certain models of cars. But that's really not the core issue at this point on Capitol Hill and in Washington. The problem is, what did Toyota know? When did it know it? And is it being forthcoming about its message to consumers and to lawmakers? We heard from Representative Henry Waxman in an exclusive Bloomberg interview today, and his main concern is that he says Toyota's been saying it knows one thing about what's wrong with these cars, but saying something very different behind closed doors. Let's hear what Henry Waxman had to say.
What Toyota was saying publicly as the reason for their problem, they told our investigators privately a different story. And so we wrote a letter asking them for the background information, the research that they've done, so that we can get to the conclusion that one problem or the other is the reason, and this is what needs to be corrected.
And like Ray LaHood, I want to clarify for you what he's talking about there. First of all, we had Toyota officials telling us that they were on top of the problem. It was a sticky accelerator pedal problem. On the other hand, though, now we're hearing from behind closed doors, there could be officials who say, look, this is much more possibly an electronics or an electromagnetic problem, maybe something with the car software. We'll know much more when they have more hearings on Capitol Hill later this month on the issue, Bernie.
It gets fuzzier and fuzzier, because now there's a bunch of litigation. There have been filings saying that it's not the gas pedal, it's the electronic control traction system, or ETCS1, or whatever they call it, at Toyota. But you know what was very disturbing, Lindsey? I saw mugshots in the papers of UAW workers protesting and holding up Buy American signs. The fact is, Toyota introduced a new era in car manufacturing. The UAW was once unassailable in the U.S., but the Toyota and the other Asian and the international brands started to de-unionize and brought it to parts of the, brought manufacturing to the parts of the Deep South. There is some lingering sentiment dating back decades and decades, isn't there?
Yeah, it's interesting to see what lawmakers are going to do and say about this problem. There are some lawmakers in places like Kentucky, for example, and Alabama, a very powerful lawmaker, Richard Shelby, ranking Republican on the Senate Banking Committee. They have major Toyota plants in their districts, and it'll be very interesting to see how they parse out some of these issues. They're going to be hauling Toyota executives before lawmakers and trying to basically yell at them. I will say this. Ray LaHood told reporters today he wants to talk directly with Toyota's chief, Akio Toyoda, about the safety concerns, and also the Department of Transportation says it's considering civil penalties against Toyota over its handling of the recall. This is just a nightmare for Toyota, no matter which way you slice it. This is not going to be easy for them to extract themselves out of.
Yeah, and multiple nightmares within one REM sleep period, too. How do you deal with the mess? Lindsey, thank you for that. Let's bring in Doron from Detroit there. Doron, I was talking to the head of the National Auto Dealers Association, who happens to be a Toyota dealer himself, and he was taking a positive spin. He said Toyota's been responsive. They're getting the shims on the way. They're in training right now. The guys in, the guys working on the floor there to get this gas pedal fix and all that. But there's so much going on. You got all the lawmakers talking. I mean, they're overdrive 5 in Capitol Hill. They got hearings on the 10th. They got hearings on the 25th. We don't even know if it's the gas pedal. It could be the electronic control system. What do you do? What do you do about this?
Well, everything has sort of gotten into a feeding frenzy at this point. I mean, for plaintiffs' attorneys, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. We've got probably 16 lawsuits that we've identified that are seeking class action status. So there's going to be a lot of litigation here. Meanwhile, the dealers are saying that they're getting these fixes, these tools and the parts, and they are ready to start fixing cars for people who bring them in. And then the next step will be to fix the cars that are on their lots, which are not allowed to sell. All of this is kind of a prelude to Toyota being able to start its factories back up, because as you alluded to at the beginning of the show, the stock is getting clobbered. It's lost about a fifth of its market cap, something like $20–30 billion, and it wants to get back on its feet there as well. So it's pretty bad right now, Bernie.
The problem is, even if they get they're getting the shims, they're getting the parts, and we were just looking at Toyota dealers going through a training session to make sure that they get the tension adjustment right on those accelerators. Then you get the lingering problem. Maybe this wasn't the fix. There are still unknowns. I don't know. If I'm barreling down the highway at 70 miles an hour, I had the shim put in, but then I hear about these cases of, it could be the throttle control or something like that. I mean, you have this unknown. You got this dark cloud hanging over this. This could present a whole new ball of problems for Toyota, even after the initial phase of the fix.
This is a case of you don't know what you don't know. Of course, the government has weighed in right now and said that there's a suspicion of an electronic problem, which it's going to look for. How long it's going to take, when it's going to say we couldn't find it or we did find it, is not known. And of course, that's a cloud hanging over Toyota. Then don't forget there's the whole question of the floor mats, which hasn't really been completely resolved. There's a lot of people. There's a very high-profile accident that took place in California last August that took place because somebody put the wrong floor mat in a Lexus sedan, and a family family perished, and very tragically. So people are saying, well, whose fault is that when you don't have the right floor mat in there? Is it the manufacturer's fault for not having a throttle control that can accommodate the floor mat, or is it your fault for putting the wrong floor mat in there?
Yeah, well, this issue goes on. And irony of ironies, Doron, folks, when they're trying to deal with this recall problem, they've got to audit the numbers. Toyota out with Q3 fiscal earnings later today and expected to post a profit of $1.1 billion compared with losses in the year-ago period. But this is so backward-looking, it doesn't take into account the events which have transpired in the past weeks. It's probably a non-event in that sense. Anyway, when they have all these problems to deal with, they got to deal with this and get those results out.